Have you ever thought, why do we keep doing the same things every single day, even when we know they are not good for us? Like checking our phone again and again, or saying, from tomorrow, I'll wake up early. But we don't. It's not because we are lazy. It's because our habits control us more than we realize. Every morning, we follow the same routine. Brush teeth, drink tea, check WhatsApp, scroll Instagram, all on autopilot. We don't even think about it. That's the power of habit. In this amazing book, The Power of Habit, author Charles Duhigg explains the science behind our daily routines. He shows how habits are formed in our brain, how they guide our choices, and most importantly, how we can change them. This book is not about motivation or quick tricks. It's about understanding how our mind works and using that knowledge to take control of our life again. So in this video, we'll explore why habits are so powerful, how they shape our success and failure, and how we can break bad habits and build strong new ones. Because once you understand your habits, you can redesign your life completely. Let's begin. The power of habit.
Lesson 1. What is a habit? So, what exactly is a habit? A habit is something we do automatically, without even thinking about it. For example, every morning when you wake up, what's the first thing you do? Most people pick up their phone. We don't plan it, we just do it, automatically. That's a habit. Or think about that one cup of chai or coffee you crave at a fixed time every day. Your brain has created that pattern, that cue, and it repeats it daily. Charles Duhigg explains that our brain loves habits because they save energy. See, our brain is smart, but also lazy. It wants to make things automatic, so we don't have to make decisions again and again. Imagine if every morning you had to think about how to brush your teeth or how to drive your scooter. You'd get tired before your day even started. So the brain says, don't worry, I'll handle it. It builds a habit loop, a pattern that runs automatically. Cue, or trigger, something that starts the habit. Routine, action, what you do. Reward, feeling, what you get from it. Example, cue, you wake up. Routine, you check your phone. Reward, you feel connected, entertained, or distracted. And this loop keeps repeating every single day without you even realizing it. That's how small routines, whether good or bad, slowly start shaping our life. Our habits decide how productive, healthy, and successful we become. If you build good habits, they push you forward. If you build bad ones, they pull you down. In short, we don't decide our future, we decide our habits. And our habits decide our future.
Lesson 2. The habit loop. Now, let's talk about the most powerful idea in the book, the habit loop. Every habit, whether good or bad, follows the same three-step pattern. Charles Duhigg calls it cue, routine, reward. Let's understand each part in simple words. 1. Cue, the trigger. A cue is something that starts the habit. It's the trigger, the signal your brain receives to start a routine. For example, you see your phone screen light up. That's the cue. Or you feel stressed. That's also a cue. Cues can be anything: time, place, emotion, people, even smell. When your brain gets that signal, it immediately goes, okay, I know what to do next. 2. Routine, the action. The routine is what you actually do after the cue. It's the behavior or action. For example, after seeing the phone, cue, you start scrolling through social media. That's the routine. Or after feeling bored, cue,
You eat chips or open Instagram. That's your routine. This part becomes automatic with time. You don't even realize when you start doing it. 3. Reward. The feeling you get after doing the routine. Your brain looks for a reward, something that feels good, relaxing, or satisfying. Example, when you scroll your phone, you get a small dose of happiness or entertainment. That's the reward. When you smoke, you feel relaxed. Reward. When you exercise, you feel energetic and proud. Reward. Your brain loves rewards. So every time you repeat that behavior, the loop becomes stronger. Now here's the important part. The key to changing any habit is to understand this loop. If you can identify your cue, your routine, and your reward, you can change the habit step by step. For example, if you smoked when you're stressed, cue, and the reward is relaxation, you can replace the routine with something healthier, like deep breathing or walking. The cue and reward remain the same, but the routine changes. And slowly, the old habit breaks and a new one forms. So remember, every habit has a cue, followed by a routine, ending with a reward. And this simple loop controls 90% of what we do every single day. When you understand this loop, you don't stay a slave to your habits. You become the master of them. Change might not be fast, and it isn't always easy. But with the habit loop, change is always possible. Lesson 3. How habits work in the brain. Now, let's go a little deeper. How do habits actually work inside our brain? Charles Duhigg explains that there's a small part in our brain called the basal ganglia. This is the control center for habits, like a storage area where all our routines are saved. The brain loves to save energy. Our brain is very smart, but also lazy. It always looks for ways to save energy. When we do something again and again, the brain says, okay, this is happening daily. I'll make it automatic. So it stores that action inside the basal ganglia. Next time, you don't need to think much. You just do it automatically. That's why you can drive, walk, or brush your teeth without even thinking about each step. It's all happening because your brain has turned those repeated actions into habits. Repetition builds automatic behavior. Every time you repeat a behavior, your brain makes a shortcut, a pathway that becomes stronger and stronger. For example, you check your phone after waking up every day. After 1 week, your brain starts doing it automatically. No planning, no thinking, just habit. That's the real power of repetition. Your brain records the pattern and plays it back like a song on repeat. Habits never fully die. Here's the interesting part. Old habits never really disappear from your brain. They just become weaker when you stop practicing them. And when you start a new routine, the old one gets replaced by the new habit. That's why it's hard to completely delete a bad habit, but you can replace it with a better one. For example, if your habit is eating junk food when stressed, you can replace it with drinking water or going for a walk. The cue and reward stay the same, only the routine changes. And slowly, the old habit breaks and a new one forms. So remember, if you train it wisely, your brain can become your greatest ally.
Lesson 4. The Golden Rule of Habit Change. Now comes one of the most powerful lessons from the book, the Golden Rule of Habit Change. Charles Duhigg says,
You can't completely remove a habit, but you can replace it. Let's understand how. Every habit has 3 parts. Remember the habit loop? It has 3 parts: cue, routine, reward. Cue is the trigger. Routine is the action you do. Reward is the satisfaction or pleasure you feel after it. Most people try to break habits by fighting the routine, but that doesn't work for long because the cue and reward are still there in your brain. The real trick is not to stop the habit, but to change the middle part, the routine. The formula for change? So, the golden rule is simple. Keep the same cue, keep the same reward, just change the routine. That's how real transformation happens. Example: stress eating. Let's take a simple example. You feel stressed, cue, so you eat chips or sweets, routine, and you feel relaxed, reward. Now, if you try to stop eating completely, you'll feel uncomfortable, angry, or empty, because your brain still wants that reward, relaxation. So, what should you do? Keep the same cue, stress, keep the same reward, relaxation, but change the routine. Instead of eating chips, go for a short walk, drink water, or talk to a friend. You'll still get the reward, but through a healthier and better routine. Why this works? This works because your brain doesn't really care how you get the reward. It just wants the feeling at the end. When you give it the same pleasure, but through a positive action, your brain starts accepting the new pattern. And when you repeat it enough times, it becomes your new habit. The old one slowly fades away. The power of small replacements. Remember, you don't need to make big changes all at once. Start small. Replace scrolling social media with reading 5 pages of a book. Replace gossip with gratitude journaling. Replace late-night snacking with drinking warm water. Each small change creates a new loop in your brain, and step by step, your life starts to shift. You can't erase habits, but you can rewrite them. Keep the cue, keep the reward, just change the routine. That's the golden rule of habit change.
Lesson 5: Keystone Habits. In this part of the book, Charles Duhigg talks about something very special, something called keystone habits. These are not just simple habits. They are powerful habits that start a chain reaction in your life. Like one domino falling and pushing many others, one good habit can create many more good habits automatically. What are keystone habits? Keystone habits are those small changes or routines that unintentionally transform many areas of your life. They don't need to be big or complicated, but once you start them, they naturally bring other positive habits with them, without much extra effort. They act like the foundation stone of your success. Example 1. Exercise. Let's take the example of daily exercise. When you start exercising regularly, you're not just improving your fitness. You also begin to sleep better, eat healthier, feel more confident, and stay more focused at work or study. One small habit, exercise, starts improving many other areas automatically. That's why it's called a keystone habit. Example 2. Waking up early. Another powerful keystone habit is waking up early. When you wake up early every morning, you get quiet time for yourself. You plan your day, eat breakfast peacefully, and reduce stress. You start feeling more in control of your life. This single change, waking up early, leads to better productivity, discipline, and peace of mind. Again, one small step creates many positive results. Example 3. Writing or journaling. Some people start writing down their goals or gratitude every morning. That small habit gives them mental clarity, more positivity, and focus on what really matters. This again proves that you don't need hundreds of habits, you just need a few strong keystone habits that lead the way. Why keystone habits work? Our brain loves patterns. When one good pattern starts, it naturally attracts more positive actions. So when you start exercising, for example, you automatically feel motivated to eat better, sleep on time, and use your time wisely. It becomes like a domino effect, one habit influencing the next. How to find your keystone habit? Ask yourself, what one small habit can make my day better? What one change will give me energy and confidence? What action can make other tasks easier? Your answer might be sleeping on time, writing goals, doing yoga, spending 10 minutes reading daily. That's your keystone habit. Charles Duhigg says, you don't need to change everything at once. Change one habit that changes everything. So focus on one keystone habit. Be consistent with it, and slowly your entire lifestyle will transform. One small habit can open the door to a better life. That's the power of keystone habits. One positive step creates a wave of change.
Lesson 6. Willpower, the master habit. In this part, Charles Duhigg talks about one of the most powerful habits of all, the habit that controls every other habit. It's called willpower. Willpower means self-control, the strength to do what is right, even when you don't feel like doing it. Willpower is like a muscle. The book explains that willpower is just like a muscle. If you use it daily, it becomes stronger. But if you stop using it, it becomes weak. Think about it. When you start going to the gym, your body becomes stronger with practice. In the same way, when you practice self-control, your mental muscles also grow stronger. Every time you control your emotions, your anger, or your laziness, you are training your willpower. Example from the book. In one study, students who practiced self-control, like finishing homework on time, avoiding distractions, or eating healthy, performed better not only in studies, but also in sports, relationships, and future jobs. Why? Because they learned to manage their impulses. They didn't let emotions or temptations control them. How to build willpower? Charles Duhigg gives a few simple ways to grow your willpower. Start with small challenges. Don't try to change everything at once. Begin with one small rule, like no phone for 30 minutes after waking up, or I will go for a 10-minute walk daily. Practice self-discipline every day. Do one thing that feels uncomfortable, like waking up early, exercising, or finishing that boring task first. Track your progress. Write it down or mark a calendar. Seeing your streak grow gives motivation. Reward yourself for success. Small rewards train your brain to enjoy discipline. For example, after a week of focused study, treat yourself to your favorite snack or movie. Why willpower is the master habit? Charles Duhigg calls willpower a master habit because when you strengthen it, every other part of your life automatically improves. When you have strong willpower, you eat better, you save more money, You manage your time better. You control your emotions and make wiser decisions. So by improving one thing, your self-control, you make progress in everything. Real-life example. Think of someone who wakes up early every morning to study or exercise. At first it's difficult, but after a few weeks, it becomes normal, automatic. That person develops mental strength that reflects everywhere, in work, relationships, and goals. That's the hidden secret. Discipline builds freedom. Charles Duhigg says, "The people who succeed in life aren't always the smartest or the richest. They're the ones with the strongest willpower." So remember, every time you control yourself instead of giving up, you are training your mind for success. Willpower is your inner strength. The more you practice it, the stronger you become. And when your willpower becomes unbreakable, success becomes unstoppable.
Lesson 7. Habits in companies and organizations. So far, we've seen how habits shape individuals. But Charles Duhigg also explains that habits shape companies and organizations, even entire industries. Habits are not just personal. They exist in workplaces, schools, and businesses. And smart companies know how to use them to improve performance and success. Example 1. Starbucks. Take Starbucks, for example. Starbucks trains employees not just for serving coffee, but for controlling emotions and handling difficult customers. Cue. Angry or rude customer appears. Routine. Employee remains calm, listens patiently, and solves the problem. Reward. Customer leaves happy, employee feels satisfaction. This habit of emotional control is repeated daily, so employees respond correctly even in stressful situations. It creates consistency and a better customer experience. Example 2. Target. Companies also study customer habits to improve sales. For example, Target collects data about shopping habits. They notice patterns, like when a customer buys baby products. Then they send related offers before the customer even knows they need it. Q. Customer buys diapers. Routine. Target recommends baby wipes, formula, or toys. Reward. Customer buys more products. By understanding habits, companies can predict behavior and increase loyalty and profit. Habits shape culture. It's not only about sales, habits shape the culture of an organization. Teams develop routines for meetings, reports, and collaboration. Leaders use habits to train employees to be proactive, disciplined, and focused. Habits can even change safety, efficiency, and teamwork in a company. So habits don't just guide individuals, they guide entire organizations and the way they operate. Key lesson. Charles Duhigg teaches that small routines inside a company can have a huge impact. A single habit, repeated by many employees, can determine whether a business succeeds or fails. Whether it's customer service, employee behavior, or marketing, habits control the performance of the entire organization. Habits are not just personal tools, they're the secret engines behind successful companies. If you understand them, you can train teams better, improve productivity, predict customer behavior, and create a winning culture. Habits don't just shape people, they shape entire organizations. Learn how to create positive habits, and your company or team can reach new heights. Lesson 8. Habits in society. So far, we have seen how habits shape individuals. But Charles Duhigg also explains that habits shape entire societies. Society works through patterns.
When enough people adopt a behavior, it becomes automatic and spreads like a wave. That's how movements and social changes happen. Take the civil rights movement in the United States. People didn't just protest once, they developed habits of action. Attending meetings, organizing marches, speaking out. Q. Injustice or discrimination. Routine. Protest, speak, vote, educate others. Reward. Feeling empowered, creating change. When many people repeated these habits, the movement gained momentum and created real social change. Example 2. Modern social campaigns. Even today, social awareness campaigns work because of habit loops. Q. See an issue on social media. Routine. Share the post, sign petition, donate. Reward. Feeling proud, being part of a community. When repeated by millions, these small actions become social habits, and society slowly changes. How society adopts habits. Charles Duhigg explains that society changes not because of one person, but when enough people adopt new behaviors repeatedly. Movements, trends, and norms all rely on habit loops. Cue triggers action. Routine is repeated. Reward reinforces behavior. This is why social norms, public opinions, and cultural habits are so powerful. They guide how millions of people act almost automatically. Habits are not just personal or organizational. They shape the world. If you understand how habits work, you can influence positive change in your community, city, or even society. Society changes when habits of people change. One small habit repeated by many can transform the world.
Lesson 9. How to change a bad habit. Now let's learn the most important lesson from the book, How to Change a Bad Habit. Charles Duhigg explains that changing habits is not about willpower alone. It's about understanding how habits work and using the habit loop to your advantage. Step 1. Identify the cue. Every habit starts with a cue, the trigger that tells your brain to act. It could be feeling stressed, which leads to eating junk food. Boredom, which leads to scrolling social media. Seeing your phone, which leads to checking notifications. Ask yourself, what triggers my bad habit? Finding the cue is the first step to change. Step 2. Understand the reward. Every habit gives some reward, a feeling your brain enjoys. For example, eating chips relaxes you. Scrolling social media entertains you. Ask yourself, what am I really getting from this habit? Sometimes the real reward is different from what you think. You might eat chips for stress, but the real reward is comfort or distraction. Step 3. Replace the routine. Once you know the cue and the reward, the next step is to replace the routine, the action itself. Keep the same cue and same reward, but change the action to something positive. Examples. Stressed? Go for a short walk instead of eating junk food. Bored? Read a few pages of a book instead of scrolling social media. Tired? Drink water and stretch instead of taking a nap immediately. This way, your brain still gets the reward, but in a healthier and more productive way. Step 4. Stay consistent. Changing habits takes time and patience. Your brain loves old patterns, so repetition is key. Do the new routine every time the cue appears. Don't get discouraged if old habits pop up occasionally. Over time, the new habit replaces the old one naturally. Key lesson. Charles Duhigg reminds us, change is not about force, it's about awareness and patience. By understanding your habit loops, you can train your brain to act differently and create positive habits that last a lifetime. Identify the cue, understand the reward, replace the routine, and repeat consistently. That's the formula to change any bad habit. With awareness and patience, your habits can change, and your life can change too.
Lesson 10. Building new habits that last. Now let's talk about building new habits that actually last. Changing habits is not enough. You need habits that stick. Charles Duhigg gives some simple, powerful tips that anyone can follow. Start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Start with tiny habits, small actions that feel easy. Examples: drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. Walk 5 minutes daily before increasing it to 30 minutes. Read 1 page of a book every day. Small wins are easier to repeat, and over time, they grow into bigger habits naturally. Track your progress. Keep a habit tracker or a journal. Mark every day you successfully complete your habit. Why it works? Seeing progress motivates your brain. It creates a reward loop. Your brain enjoys checking off successes. You can notice patterns and improve slowly. Stay consistent. Consistency beats intensity. Even on lazy or busy days, do something small. Doing a little is better than doing nothing. Remember, habits are built through repetition, not perfection. Believe change is possible. Your mindset matters. Believe that change is possible and that small actions add up over time. Every new habit is like planting a seed. If you water it daily with small actions, it grows strong and becomes automatic. Key lesson. Charles Duhigg reminds us, your life changes when your daily routine changes. Focus on small steps, track them, repeat them every day, and believe in yourself. Slowly but surely, your new habits replace old ones, and your life starts transforming. Start small, track progress, stay consistent, and believe in change. Tiny daily habits create a life full of success, health, and happiness.
Real-life examples. Michael Phelps' Olympic success. Michael Phelps, the famous swimmer, used habit loops to train his mind and body. Cue: feeling nervous before a race. Routine: practice a calm breathing exercise. Reward: feeling focused and relaxed. By repeating this habit over and over, he learned to stay calm under pressure. His habits made him one of the greatest athletes in history. Alcoa Company, safety first. The Alcoa Company focused on safety habits at the workplace. Habit: always wear safety equipment and follow protocols. Result: fewer accidents, happier workers, and more efficiency. This small focus on one key habit, safety, transformed the company's profits, culture, and success. People changing personal habits. The book also shows ordinary people who changed habits like smoking or unhealthy eating. Some replaced smoking with short walks. Others replaced junk food with healthy snacks. Over time, these small changes led to big transformations in health, energy, and confidence. Key lesson. Charles Duhigg emphasizes, real success always comes from mastering small habits. Whether in sports, business, or daily life, success is not just about talent or luck. It's about small, repeated actions that become automatic. Final words. When you understand habit loops and start building positive habits, you can take control of your life. Habits are the hidden forces behind every success story. The more good habits you have, the easier your life and work become. Real success always comes from mastering small habits. Change your habits and you change your life, slowly, steadily, and surely. Now, let's summarize the most important lessons from The Power of Habit. 1. Habits shape your life. Every action you do repeatedly, good or bad, forms your habits. Habits control your health, success, relationships, and daily life. Understanding them is the first step to controlling your life. 2. Understand your habit loop. Every habit works in a loop. Cue triggers the habit, routine, the action you take, reward, the pleasure your brain gets. By knowing this loop, you can change habits consciously instead of being controlled by them. 3. You can't erase habits, replace them. Old habits never fully disappear, but you can replace the routine with a new one while keeping the same cue and reward. This is how lasting change happens, without fighting your brain, but by training it smartly. 4. Build keystone habits. Some habits are more powerful than others. They are called keystone habits because they create a domino effect. Exercising improves focus, energy, and diet. Waking up early improves planning and productivity. Focus on building these keystone habits first. They will transform other areas of your life automatically. 5. Willpower changes everything. Willpower is the master habit. It grows stronger when you practice it daily. It helps you resist temptations, stay consistent, and improve all other habits. When you build willpower, your life improves in multiple ways. Final words. Charles Duhigg reminds us, small habits repeated consistently lead to big results. Your life is not shaped by one big action, but by many small habits done every day. If you learn to control your habits, you control your destiny. Habits are incredibly powerful. Learn to control them before they control you. Remember, small daily actions done consistently are what separate ordinary people from extraordinary ones. Take charge of your habits today, and your future will thank you.